Today on CityCast Nashville, let's get real. Living in Nashville ain't cheap. Between rising rent and grocery bills and the cost of parking, it's very easy to feel like your paycheck disappears quicker than ever. So to help us out, we've got certified financial therapist Celia Roberts-Hughes here to share her essential rules for saving money in Nashville. It's Wednesday, July 16th. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about. Hey, y'all. I hope you can tell by now that I love this job as host of CityCast Nashville. I get to sit down with smart, curious people who love Nashville as much as I do, and then I get to share those conversations with you. Like today's episode, for example, is one of my oldest friends from high school. I wanted to do an episode on how we can help folks save money during these crazy times. And of course, I want to help make life in Nashville a little easier for you, cheaper, that's for sure, and way more fun. So if we've ever helped you save a little money, discover a fun new happy hour spot, or just, I don't know, feel seen, why not put some of those savings towards becoming a CityCast Nashville neighbor today? It's only $10 a month or $100 a year, and it helps us keep doing what we love. Yes, I'm a cheapskate. I'm sure you can tell by now. I'm always looking for a deal, and I am proud of it. I love hunting down local deals and passing them on to you. Your support helps me keep exploring Nashville and reporting back all my sweet finds. So take that money I've saved you already and head over to membership.citycast.fm and become a neighbor today. All right, let's get into the details of how the heck we can start saving money these days. Celia, there's an old joke about New York City that you can't walk out the door without dropping $20. But it's kind of starting to feel that way here in Nashville, too. Can you walk us through how you and your family would spend a fun weekend in Nashville on a super tight budget?
You know, I think that joke is outdated because I would be gleeful if I could leave the house and only drop $20 at this point.
Exactly.
Right? This is such a good question. And it's interesting. It's an interesting question for me because I love to spend a weekend spending no money. So a dreamy weekend for me is time outside. I want to walk and hike. In the summer, I want to go paddleboard. Like I really enjoy all that nature offers living in Nashville. I love to be in my kitchen. So I want to bake and I want to spend an entire day in the kitchen with my kids, without my kids. And then I want to spend time with friends. So I want to do dinner somewhere, dinner at home, dinner at someone's house. So for me, and you'll see it in my budget, the way that I spend my money and time is really food and nature and relationships. You could find so many more interesting people that have cool bars and dive bars and shows to go to. I'm like, oh, or we can go hike and then we can go sit and talk for a long time.
Hiking is free at the moment.
Exactly.
I mean, who knows with Nashville parking situation, they may start charging, but for now it's free to go hiking in Nashville. Do you have
for this moment? Yeah, exactly.
Do you have a favorite place you like to hike?
I'm near Beeman, so I spend a lot of time at Beeman. And I feel like it's one of, don't tell, you can delete this out. I feel like it's one of the places that it's one of the less traversed hikes. So I really you go to Radnor and you have to spend 45 minutes in line waiting for a parking spot. And Beeman is absolutely gorgeous and is just much more accessible still.
Yes, absolutely. When someone says, I want to start saving money, what does a savings goal actually look like here in Nashville, especially with rising rent and limited affordable housing?
Were I speaking to a client in my office, I would be saying, instead of looking at a savings goal, let's look at a savings process. Because I think that with the language that's out there, like if you listen to any finance person, they're going to say 3 to 6 months of expenses for emergency savings account, right? And that feels for many people, I can't go from zero to $10,000. That's impossible. And so we just emotionally shut down. And so I really want people to practice saving something. And it doesn't matter what it is. But as you get in the habit of saving, as it becomes part of the way that you interact with money, it becomes so much easier to increase that amount. And really you'll start getting dopamine hits when your savings account starts growing. When you hit 1,000 for the first time, or when you hit 5,000 for the first time, it becomes really, it's a really pleasurable and enjoyable experience and increases your ability to say no to other things and prioritize savings. It takes effort in the beginning to shift your mindset from saving $100 a month doesn't matter. It does. And eventually it becomes a part of the way that you play with money. And so something is really just saving something, getting started.
And then do you have any recommendations for tools or apps or any systems for staying accountable to a budget over time?
This is a hard one. And I don't have a lot of black and white advice because money is so incredibly personal. It's the reason that so many people struggle with money is because the finance world is black and white, and you have experts saying this is the thing you should do, and that thing doesn't work for many people. They feel like a failure. It's kind of messy. And I think that software and processes is an area that can be really hard because someone says, this is the tool that I use this tool. And then someone comes in and uses it. It doesn't make sense with their brain, and they feel really deflated. And so with tracking, with budgeting or tracking or planning, you really have to be open to playing and finding a thing that works for you. I still use Excel. Let me age myself. I'm a dinosaur with money. I've been using it for, 20 years. And so it makes sense to me. Rocket Money. I have a lot of clients who really like Rocket Money. It's affordable. It's a low cost app option. For couples, there's a couple apps that are tailored to multiple folks. Monarch is one. Honeydew is another. NerdWallet actually has a free app that I haven't used, but NerdWallet's a great company. They do really great work. So I assume that their app is good. But really, it's just coming into, you may have to try a couple of things. Don't listen to anyone who says this is the thing that will change your relationship with money. It won't. But just play and find something that you actually can tolerate using.
Yeah, I, for the first time, actually started, Google Sheets and just wrote out my monthly expenses and then what my income is. And then voila, look at that. It's my budget.
Mm-hmm. And what you're talking about is really important because you're talking about working with your money in a way that you can see your priorities. You can see your priorities on paper. And it's really uncomfortable if you say that your priority is caring for community or giving back. And then you sit down and look at your numbers and you're spending an enormous amount of money on, I'm not going to place judgment on the way anyone spends their money. Pick a category that
coffee.
feels...
It seems like everyone's spending money on coffee.
Yes, and everyone gets really hot about coffee. Like this is a moral,
right.
Thank you, Dave Ramsey. This is a moral issue. But when you sit down and really get in the numbers and play with it that way, it's a totally different experience to look at it and be like, I say that giving to my community is a value and it's not here. I can't find this in my numbers.
It blows my mind when I see my spending categories. I'm like, Marie, get it together.
Uncomfortably?
Well, I mean, most of everything goes towards my mortgage. So there you go. That's it. That's all I spend my money on. All right. So what's your advice on impulse buying, especially when people want to treat themselves now and then?
I said earlier that I don't have a lot of black and white advice. I do actually have tools and tricks for this one. And I do because this is a hot topic of conversation with folks with ADHD. So this is something that comes up a lot, the impulse spending for people that are not neurotypical, people that are neurodivergent. If you are someone who finds yourself shopping online, there are there are hacks that you can put in place to protect yourself from just spending impulsively. One of those is to give yourself a set wait time. You put something in a cart and you don't hit buy for 24 hours. So you can give yourself an amount of time. I never buy something without letting it sit in a cart and think about it for 24 hours. Another option is to have a day of the week that you do all of your spending. So I can browse online, I can scroll and look, but I only place orders on Friday so that I'm looking at the totality of all of these things that I'm looking at instead of, oh, this is $30. Oh, this is $40. When we look at all of those purchases together, maybe it's $400 and I don't want to spend $400. So it's kind of putting stops in place to get out of the dopamine hit of the moment and look at the bigger picture of your money. And then I think, too, we really want to build in splurges, right? And I think that's part of what happens is that we think that we need to get really structured and trim all the fat from our budgets. And then we don't build in space for fun or for spontaneity.
Oh, yeah, you got to go see that concert or, that birthday dinner. It's always so freaking expensive. But yes. Do you have any go-to strategies for saving on everyday purchases here in Nashville?
For myself, I really am looking more at being judicious in my choices rather than looking for lower cost on all of the stuff. So I'm really going to be more choosy about what I'm buying. And then what I'm buying can be higher quality or it can be more expensive. Or for me, it's really important to shop local. Local is often more expensive. but that's a value of mine. And so I'm not necessarily looking for how can I get this the cheapest? I'm looking for how can I get this the most ethically in a way that feels good to me. And so for me, it's often buying less in a way that matters to me than buying more for less.
Yeah, same. I'm a big foodie, but the way I consciously spend my money, I personally think that the best meals in Nashville are on Nolensville Road. I personally going over there, supporting the immigrant population over there. But also I have friends that really like to go to some of these, I know Fancy Pants on Dickerson Road that opened up recently is incredibly expensive. If that's something that is a priority to you, then, you save and then you go and have a very special meal.
That's right.
I also want to just shout out local happy hours. That's a great way to save money. There's community hour at Lachlan Table, which I find...
Oh, we go there all the time.
And it's so inexpensive. So I really hunt down those happy hours and early bird specials.
Yeah. And also, lunch is going to be less expensive than dinner. So if you're wanting to try new restaurants, that's a way to work it with a tighter budget.
Absolutely. Are there any specific days when local grocery stores offer better deals or discounts?
Someone has those hacks. I don't have them. I have funny relationship with groceries where I'm doing my main shopping at Aldi. I love Aldi. I have my Aldi quarter in the car. No one is allowed to touch it. Doesn't get used for anything except for my buggy. Only people who shop at Aldi know how neurotic it is to keep your special quarter in the car. So I have my Aldi stuff, and then I have stuff that I get at the turnip truck, and then I have stuff that I get that you can only get at Trader Joe's, and then I have my wrap up at Kroger. So I have this really funny piece together what I can get where and for what cost.
I have that quarter. It's in my fanny pack. And then also we have Costco and BJ's. Are you a proud Costco member?
I have a Costco membership and I use it. I use it strategically because, they have great produce, but we're not going to eat 95 pounds of cabbage in a week. But I keep a Costco membership because they have some stuff that is so much less expensive than other places that it pays for the membership. And I have bought things sometimes I got furniture. I got a couch there once, some big piece. And then at the end of the year, we got a several $100 rebate back, which they paid for a week of groceries. So Costco can definitely be gamed.
And then you need a car to get that bulk cabbage home, or honestly, to get pretty much anywhere in Nashville these days. But where are the cheapest gas prices in town?
I am neurotic about gas. This is a moment with my husband and me. I will drive out of my way to avoid a more expensive gas station, to go to a cheaper gas station. And my husband says, you're probably spending that much on gas driving from here to there, and the amount of time that you waste gas shopping. But I have this moral hang up with, I'm not buying more expensive gas. It's the same gas. It's all the same gas. So gas is going to be more expensive right off of the interstate because it's convenient. And there are areas of town where it's more expensive. So I live in an area that has inexpensive gas. So I'm always trying to never get gas in Green Hills and under any circumstances. And then my husband again is it's probably $100 over the course of a year. I don't care. I have an ethical issue. So my go-to gas is Bordeaux Kroger on Whites Creek.
Oh, yes.
They're less expensive. Plus you can use your Kroger Plus points. That's my spot.
You heard it here first, folks. Hey y'all, it's your host, Marie Cecile Anderson, popping in to tell you all about CityCast Nashville Neighbors, our brand new membership program. We're calling it CityCast Neighbors because we've learned that people who listen to CityCast Nashville are people who care deeply about this city and want to make it better. They're just the kind of neighbors this city needs. It comes with some pretty sweet benefits. CityCast Nashville Neighbors gain access to ad-free podcast listening and a weekly email rounding up our best picks for what to do in Nashville. Plus, we're hosting neighbors-only events like happy hours, local volunteering meetups, and other events where we explore and better our city together. And you get to be a part of the local conversation too by shouting out a local business or nonprofit you love on the show or in the Hey Nashville newsletter. For $10 a month, you can become a CityCast Nashville neighbor today by going to membership.citycast.fm. Y'all, we couldn't make this show without people like you supporting us, and we're so excited for you to be a part of it. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. All right, we are back. And since today's episode is all about saving money in Nashville, here's a hot tip for you. For just $10 a month, you can become a CityCast Nashville neighbor and support local journalism. Head on over to membership.citycast.fm. Y'all, one of our newest members, Jack C., told us he signed up because he believes in local journalism. He said he used to hear from folks in his city all the time about stories he'd written and the ones that he thought he should write. He told us he covered the cops, city government, and wrote features that captured the character and characters of my town. Well, folks, that's exactly what we're trying to do here at CityCast Nashville. When you become a neighbor, you're helping us start the same kind of open dialogue between us about what you think we should be covering that will truly reflect the heart of our city. And hey, this week only, when you sign up, you'll also get our brand new Nashville Neighbor tote bag as a thank you for being one of our founding members. So head on over to membership.citycast.fm, support local journalism, and join us today. Celia, how do you, as a financial counselor, what advice would you give to couples?
Typically, when I'm working with couples, we are not ever really going to start with numbers because the numbers are it's a symptom, right? Like it's the difference in saying, I have a cough. A cough can be caused by a million different things. So we don't want to just medicate the cough. We want to understand what's happening so that we can address a root cause. And that's really when you're fighting about numbers, the numbers are not typically the issue. So with couples, the work always begins individually because every single one of us has a unique relationship with money that is guided by cultural expectations and childhood experiences and gender roles, the region that you're from, right? Like we expect different things from people in the South than we would expect in the Pacific Northwest. So it's really like distilling down into what are the unconscious components of your relationship with money. And when I can understand my beliefs about money, the pain points and the healthy stuff, but just really understand it, and you can understand yours the same way, then we can have a conversation about what the real root of the conflict is. If you've got like we're going to air quote here, a traditional family where you have a parent that works and a parent that stays at home, the parent that works feels more pressure with their earning, right? They may feel more protective of what's being spent because they carry so much responsibility with the earning. The parent who's staying home is typically the one that's spending all the money on kids, who has a more complete relationship with how expensive it is with kids and buying clothes every season and the kids' parties and all the stuff. They're going to be the spender if that's their responsibility in the family. And so they're coming at it from, you're doing this and it's stressing me out. So we want to develop more common language and more comprehensive understandings of money, and then come at it from a different place instead of sitting down and saying, let's just fight about the numbers and let's agree. And then I've got you because you agreed to a number and you spent more than you said you were going to spend, right? Like the numbers so often resolve themselves when we're having conversations about emotional pieces of money. They click into place when we do the deeper work.
So you're a real financial therapist.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to just learn more then about your local business and what you're offering people here in Nashville.
I work with couples and I work with individuals. I have an office in Nashville. I can do that in person. I also work with people on Zoom all over the world. And then I have a program called Cycle Breakers where you can sign up and you work through it on your own. And that really takes you through a long process of digging into all these different pieces of your relationship with money. And so it kind of guides you through topics to pay attention to see what's there. So that work you do on your own. And then just the workshops as they come up, teaching workshops, just depending on whatever's hot in the moment, whatever feels really alive for my community.
Oh, that's so fun. Okay. You mentioned earlier about the emergency savings account. I'm sure you talk about that a lot with your clients. You said 3 to 6 months. Is that true?
It is. And this is a really good time to think about it because think about the amount of instability that people are feeling right now. Entire sectors of people are being fired and rehired and fired again. Like this is a really important moment to talk about this because it's easy to feel like things will keep trucking along the way that they're trucking along. And this is a moment in time where it's like, actually, there can be huge disruptions, especially coming off of COVID, right? Like we just did this where so many people were displaced in their jobs and we had some supports, but it was much easier to ride out COVID if you were sitting on some cash, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the 3 to 6 months, that's kind of an arbitrary number, but it's a fair number. But what you have to remember is when we say 3 to 6 months, in an emergency, you're cutting down, right? Like you're not going to all of the restaurants. You're going to cook more at home. You're not going on big expensive trips. Like life really changes in a true emergency. And so you're looking at, what do you need to survive? You need food, you need shelter, you need to be able to pay your mortgage and rent. You need to be able to make your minimum debt payments. So your minimum student loan payment, minimum credit card payments. We're not going to pay anything off in an emergency. Medication, dog food, cat food. So you're really looking at, what do I need to survive for 3 to 6 months? And that really reduces the number. So even if you can set a goal 1 month at a time, if you can get 1 month of emergency expenses in place, focus on that, let that be a priority, and then you can trickle it in a little bit more down the road.
Here's a personal question, since I'm on right now with a financial therapist. As you know, things are pretty tumultuous across the US at the moment. My biggest fear with money is that there's going to be like a zombie apocalypse or something, or there's going to be like no internet, things are going to shut down. Yeah. And then all of our money is online. It's all electronic.
You're calling it a zombie apocalypse, but let's pause and think that there was just a hurricane in the mountains in East Tennessee and Western North Carolina, right? That was very zombie apocalyptic. Like this stuff we hope that it will never happen. Many of the people listening to this lived in Nashville in 2010 for the 2010 floods. Like stuff happens. This is real. And I think that it's really important to have access to cash. We keep money in a safe in our house for moments such as this. In Asheville, when power was down, people couldn't use their cards. You couldn't walk into a store and spend with a card because the credit card systems didn't work. So I think it's totally fine to make sure that you always have access to cash. I think it's fine to make sure you have canned goods and ways to get clean water, these things that can be so extreme that it feels really uncomfortable to admit to your friend that you've got a little prepper corner in the basement. I think it's okay to have a little prepper cabinet where you're prepared for this.
Yeah, especially as we're experiencing more storms and, all this moisture here in Nashville.
Yeah.
So I think I will be producing a prepper episode in the future for sure. I think that's great advice, idea. So we'll see. Well, speaking of advice, is there anything I've missed that you'd want to shout out for Nashvillians?
I think that Nashville is a really funny place to be right now, especially for us homebred folks. Like watching our city change the way that it has can feel very disorienting. I mean, you can certainly find me running my mouth about old Nashville and how things used to not be this way. And I think that it can be really uncomfortable to watch the ways that Nashville's growing and feeling really similar to, like you said, coming back from New York. For me, when we came home from LA, it's that same sense of like, this is getting big city. And it used to not feel this way. And I think that what I want for people is to destigmatize needing to make shifts to make life work here. So if you find that your money isn't stretching as far as it used to, it's not you and it's not a moral failure. It's just the reality. And it's okay to shift the way that you live. It's okay to tell your friends that you are reprioritizing your money and you can't do this thing. Can we look at something else? Or you can't go to this many shows, or you can't make it to that dinner, but can we do this in a way that is more affordable? And I think, it's uncomfortable to say, I can't afford this, but we can talk about it in a way that's really empowering, which is things have shifted with my money priorities. And how can we be together? How can we spend time together? How can we connect? How can we enjoy good food in a way that supports building this emergency savings and caring for future us?
Oh, that's amazing advice. Celia, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us today. Listeners, we're going to put her website in our show notes, so please check it out. You're taking clients all the time. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah. I'm actually opening spots over the summer. So.
Oh, wonderful. So what does that look like if somebody reaches out to you? What sort of things do you offer them?
Yeah. So I have a form on my website that you can fill out that gives me some information about what you're working on to make sure that being together would be a good fit. And then we just do a short consultation just to make sure that the work that you're doing is aligned with the work that I do. I'm not the person to call if you just want someone to tell you what to do with your money, because I'm going to talk about how you feel with your money. And so I have packages, focus packages where we really dig deep, like this is your work of the moment. We really dig deep into that. And then otherwise you can just follow along and hop in on any offerings as they come up, workshops, and follow me on Instagram. I post content on Instagram completely irregularly. Yeah. And then I have the program Cycle Breakers that you can work through on your own at an affordable pace, just to dip your toes into the water and start thinking about money from a relational place instead of just as a black and white numbers situation.
Wow. It sounds all very healthy, actually.
I hope so.
Well, check out CeliaRobertsHughes.com, folks. And again, we'll put that in the show notes. Thank you, Celia. And yeah, shout out.
Thank you, Marie.
We went to Overton together, so go Bobcats.
Yay! 99.
99, class of 99. Okay, before we go, just one more reminder. Becoming a CityCast Nashville neighbor is the absolute best way to support local journalism and stay plugged into what's really happening in this city. And hey, we've got some new neighbors to shout out. Laura E., Katrina G., Beth P., Susie A., Darren J., and Lori H., welcome to the neighborhood. We are so glad you're here. Hey, let's keep this conversation going. What do you want to hear us cover next? Let us know. And if you're listening and you want in on the conversation too, go ahead and join us at membership.citycast.fm. That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell your friends, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Toodles!